young singer named Justin Moore.
We don't do a whole lot of bullshitting up here. We just get up here and play country music.
Hey, I think everything's working. JM, you working on that end?
Hey, so far so good. So I meant to mention this. I don't know. It was a week or two ago. My computer I've been having issues with, and so if I sounded a little funky over the last couple of weeks, it was because it was the audio you were getting from me was coming from a voice memo on my phone. But I think, fingers crossed, I have my computer all situated and sorted out, and you should be getting better audio now. And I know I look funny.
I was
going to
say,
watching.
If anybody can see you right now, you definitely look a little different than normal.
I do. So I'm wearing glasses for those out there just listening. But
yeah, you got to explain this get up now. This is a whole new do for you.
So these glasses are not prescription. They are the blue. I don't even know what they're called.
It's like a filter or something, a blue filter or something.
Yeah, like for looking at a computer. So I've looked at a computer much more than I have ever in my life, since we hit this pandemic 14 months ago or whatever. And I've noticed, like, driving home from softball games and stuff at night, my eyes, I feel like, which have always been the only thing really that work on me. My ears are shot and everything. My knees are shot and different things. But my eyes, I feel like, are going. I'm driving around going, squinting, like,
yeah,
especially at night. And so I think my daughter bought these glasses, and she told me what they were for looking at a phone, looking at a computer, that kind of stuff. So I thought, well, I'll just try it. If it works, great. And if it don't work, great. And I don't know that it works, but it feels as though, maybe it's my imagination, but it feels as though maybe they're working a little bit. So I wore them as a joke when we were interviewing Adam Hambrick, because he wears glasses.
Right.
And then they were just sitting here on my desk, and I was in here answering emails. I thought, let me see if these actually work.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they do or they don't, but anyway.
It feels like it works.
It's better than nothing. I mean,
right.
Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't.
And
so
even if
anyway,
it's tricking yourself, why not, right?
For those watching, you'll see how ridiculous I look. I also look ridiculous because, I don't know if you can tell, JR, but
oh, yeah,
I am sunburnt.
Oh, yeah.
All to heck, because we had a softball tournament this past weekend, and I always wear a hat, as you know.
Yeah,
and
so just take your finger and push your forehead so they can see how white it is. Yeah, you are red, buddy.
So
you're Cardinal.
Yeah, so
Razorback Cardinal.
Yeah, I look like a beet. But yeah, so I thought, let me get some sun. I just got a haircut, and I thought, let me get some sun, and I started feeling like I was getting a little warm, and I told my wife, Kate, I said, hey, maybe I should go get my hat. She goes, no, I'll just put some sunscreen on your face. I said, oh, okay, that's fine. Apparently we did it a little late, and I am burnt to a crisp. So I look strange as hell right now to anybody watching, and if you're listening, you can go to YouTube and watch this.
Yeah,
later
well, you
on.
don't. Well, and you
I
don't
look crazy. I look crazy as hell right now.
Well, you look like almost like a pseudo Clark Kent or something, because you don't have any Poen gear on, you don't have any hog gear on, you don't have a hat of any sort on. You got these glasses on. You got a blue shirt a blue hoodie. That's the only thing I know it's you is a hoodie on. It's almost summertime. You got a hoodie on, but you got nothing that you normally wear. So I'm waiting on you to dip off and say you got to go make a drink or something, and then come back and boom, hey, it's country guy, cowboy hat, or all Pittsburgh Steelers or something.
Crazy.
So,
I
look
like a nut cut. Hey, but I will say, for the softball tournament,
how'd that go?
Ella's been taking lessons. My oldest daughter, for those out there listening, she's been taking hitting lessons to teach her to switch hit. She's a righty. She's been taking switch hitting lessons to hit from her left side as well. She played so awesome this weekend and got her first 2 or 3 hits as a left-hander at the plate.
Awesome.
In a tournament against good pitching. So
did she get a dinger?
Yes, she did. Yeah.
I thought I saw Kate put a video up of that.
She did, yeah. So she in the semifinals of this tournament, she put one right down the pitcher's throat, and it went out in center field. Center fielder misplayed it, and she got a home run off of it. And then she hit a gapper from her left side. She went like 3 for 5 from her right side and 3 for 4 from her, or 2 for 4 from her left side this past weekend. So I was proud of her. And hey, we got a ring. We won the championship. It was a lot of fun. We had a good weekend.
Yeah, brought home the hardware. That's what it's all about. Congrats,
Roll
girls.
Tribe. That's
Roll
what we
Tribe.
say. Roll Tribe, roll.
That's awesome, man. Where was the tournament this weekend?
It was about a half hour from here, a little town called East End, which is just outside of Sheridan. And we played well. We got beat in the first game by 1 run by a team from Hamburg, South Arkansas. And we've played that team a number of times over the years. And I don't know that we've ever beat them, but they beat us in the first game 4-3. We come all the way back up through the losers bracket. We're up 8-1 in the bottom half of the last inning in the championship game against them, and we let them score 6 runs.
Ooh.
Because we misplayed a couple of balls in the field, and they just came up and hit the ball in the last inning. And ended up holding them off and winning 8-7 in the championship game. So yeah, got a ring. They used to give us plastic trophies that were like 4 inches tall. Now they give them these big, huge rings when you win.
Wow.
So
it was
a
the
lot
hardware.
of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, want to welcome everybody in. As you've heard, you've already been in on a few minutes here of the Justin Moore podcast, this being Season 3, Episode 14. I'm JR the Handler. That was Justin Moore. We got a great guest lined up here in a little while. Our buddy, Mr. Dillon Carmichael, young up-and-coming Nashville singer-songwriter straight out of the bluegrass state of Kentucky. We're going to have him on here in a little while to chit-chat and tell us about his new album that's dropping tomorrow. When this airs on Thursday, his album drops on the 14th, Friday, so y'all be ready for that. And remember to go download Justin's new album, Straight Out of the Country. It's still rocking. I've been listening to it a bunch this weekend. I know a bunch of people have texted me about it, so still enjoying that record. So y'all make sure y'all go ahead and get that. And I got to say, has life changed any since you became a billionaire last week, Just? If anybody out there listening don't know what I'm talking about, Justin got a plaque last week I thought was really cool, and we talked about it for a minute on the podcast, but I thought it was really cool. I saw the other sites posted up and stuff, but 1 billion streams on Pandora. Only one of a handful of folks to do that, so I want to say congrats again to that, buddy. And how's that feel to have that? You got all kinds of hardware coming in this past week. Yeah,
I'm still waiting on the big check that they present me.
Right.
It's an actual check that makes me a real billionaire.
Yeah, that'd be good too, huh?
But no, it really was a really neat thing, and I was completely surprised by it. And to be honest with you, man, it's such a different world now than when we both started in this industry, and I don't even know what all this stuff means, really. It's hard to really kind of grasp it and understand it, but I know 1 billion is a lot.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So I don't really know what that means, but I know that's a lot of people who have streamed our music and listened, and certainly we appreciate that. And
all those really, platforms.
Yeah, any time you have something like that happen in your career that it's a big deal when other people make a big deal about it. Right. Even if I don't really understand it, and our label made a big deal about it, and Buzz Brainerd, I want to say thank you to him and everybody at Sirius XM for coming up with a really neat idea to present that to me while I was doing his Music Row Happy Hour show. There's a video of that up actually on he posted recently that you can see the video when they give it to you with everybody on there. It was pretty cool. So it was really neat, man, and nothing feels different. But it really, really cool experience. And it's weird because when we're in the day-to-day grind, as you know, JR, you're just trying to reach the next goal. Regardless of what you've accomplished in the past, you're just trying to accomplish the next thing. And that right now for us is A, get back out on the road, and B, get. We didn't have much to number one, which it jumped 4 spots from 20 to 16 this week. So so that's looking really, really promising. So y'all keep, if you've called and requested it or continue to stream it or whatever, that helps that. So it's not until you get a plaque for something, so to speak, until you look back and you go, wow, that was really cool, or
right,
I can't believe we did this or that, or because you're just always so focused on today and what are we accomplishing today and what are we looking forward to accomplishing tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, true. Very true. Well, yeah, that's very cool, and you're right on that. And I want to say shout out, to all those platforms that you stream from or find Justin's music, and all our friends, brothers and sisters that put music out on Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, XM radio, terrestrial radio in your hometown, anywhere you listen to this. Make sure to keep doing so, and thank you all for supporting country music, and thank you all for supporting us. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you were about to hit it. I was going to say, and while we're on that subject, the likes and subscriptions and all the kind comments you can put for this podcast,
5-star ratings, all that fun stuff.
Help us,
because that's the next goal too for this. I mean, I want this to be an award-winning podcast, and we're going to do it with all the help from everybody out there in podcast world. With great guests we have, and all our friends support and everything. So I want to turn this into an award-winning podcast, so the podcast could get some hardware at some point. And like Justin said, to help us do that, need all those 5-star ratings and reviews and click and download. And I actually saw where talking about the different stuff last week, we actually jumped up and are in the top 40 on Spotify podcast, which is pretty cool.
Awesome.
Got all that. Big shout out to Cody V for making sure we're linked up and in the groove on all that stuff. But we started off, we were talking about like this past weekend, y'all doing a softball tournament. And as we always do, we're recording this on Tuesday, the 11th. This will come out on the 13th. So we just got done with Mother's Day weekend, and I know for me it was a big weekend. It was we had good weather, and now it's crap again. It's stormed ever since Sunday afternoon. But I had my mom, grandmom, aunt, my brother, his little boy, my nephew, who's 2, Aiden, come up, and we had a good time. But buddy, it was tiresome. It's the first time we've all gotten together in a long time, and over a year, all of us. And it was good to break the ice, getting that back rolling again. Everybody comfortable. It was as like any time you do something like that, you got a lot of fun times, and you got something that just had to happen. They get down here, and my grandmother thought she had poison ivy from moving some limbs or something at home in Mississippi. Well, as it went on, it was still bothering her, and my brother was seeing it and looking at it, and he said, I don't know if that's poison ivy. It could be worse. So they took her to the clinic here, the little quick clinic here around in my neighborhood in Gulf Shores, and sure enough, it's shingles. Gran has the shingles, and they told her, they're like, there's no way you shouldn't be in just excruciating pain, and she was like, well, it's not really that bad. She's a pretty tough old bird. I always tell people my granny's like Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies, kind of. But so anyway, she got on back, and she's comfortable now at home. But yes, I think it kind of worried her some when she realized it was shingles, because she didn't think it could be, because she didn't think she'd ever had chicken pox. But apparently she had it when she was a little girl before she remembers, and none of her parents or siblings ever told her she had it. So watch out for that. That's some crazy stuff. And I did some looking into it, because it seems like lately I've heard more about shingles, more people I know having shingles. And so I looked into it a little bit. Apparently it's if you ever had chicken pox, it's in you. You can't catch it from somebody else unless you've never had chicken pox. And it just lies dormant until one day it just pops up, and you just kind of never know. But there is a vaccine for it. Lasts a few years. Some different theories on how old you should be before you start taking that. But apparently it's some bad stuff.
Yeah, I had chicken pox, so I guess I'm a candidate.
Same. Yeah, me and Jamie too.
So, I do know that, like you said, there is a vaccine, and I've heard it's pretty effective. So, and I've also heard that shingles can be just incredibly painful. So I'm glad that she hasn't had that horrible experience that others have had, because I know it can just keep you kind of knocked down, and Again, it's just like super painful. So
hopefully.
I hate that for her, but I'm glad that she hasn't dealt with that as of yet. Hopefully she won't. So.
Right. And hopefully it's it's a couple of weeks and she'll be back to normal. And she, like I said, she's in good shape and good health. So hopefully she'll rebound from that. And we had a good time. We had a crawfish boil. Grice and Julie came over Saturday, and we did a crawfish boil here. Did a bunch of crawfish and Royal Reds. Shout out to Boil Master and Academy Sports and everybody who we got all our equipment from to do that. And had a good time. Rouse's neighborhood market over here. Thank you. A sack of crawfish, $1.89 a pound at Rouse's this weekend.
Wow!
And they were nice, big, live, ready to rock. They were good. So
did y'all boil them yourself?
Yeah, Grice did. He's got it down pat. He's learned from all those Homa guys, so it's their method, and it's always spot on.
Nice.
Yeah, and Mom loves the shrimp. Mom's has always loved shrimp, so I got her Royal Reds, which we can get down here in Bon Secours.
And that's like mini lobsters.
Oh yeah, so good, so good. So that was it. So what about you? What about you guys? Did y'all tournament it up for Mother's Day weekend?
Yeah, Saturday we had the tournament, which that's what Kate said. She goes, "I tell you what, I want for Mother's Day is a tournament championship." So we got her that.
Hey, there you go.
Thanks.
You got her some jewelry.
And the team. Yeah, we got her some hardware. Yeah, and then let's see, Sunday, actual Mother's Day. We got up and went to church and didn't do a whole lot. Just kind of hung out around the house and I cooked for Kate and my mom. Made a big pot of white beans.
Nice.
My mom loves white beans. Made a pot of white beans and fried okra, fried chicken, some corn, cream corn, and my mom made some fried squash. And so it was just a soul food kind of day.
Sounds delicious.
We hung out and ate some good food, and that was about it, man. Not a whole lot going on. And then the day after, Klein had a doubleheader. She played like crap. So I was giving her some grief over that. She's been hitting the ball like every time she comes up to the plate. Klein is my youngest daughter, for those out there listening. She's 6, but she's playing 8U softball. And she's really done a good job. She played second base the other night and played well and got some put-outs and that kind of stuff. But she's been hitting the ball like every time she comes up. So first game, first at bat, she gets up, drills one down third baseline, gets on base, strikes out the rest of the night. So
Dang.
I told her, we're going to have to get to work.
Yep.
And she's like, Dad. And I go, no, you played like crap. She goes, don't tell me that. I said, well, I tell your sisters the same thing if they do.
Yeah.
But I tell you if you do good too.
Right.
So
get back on track with that. Hey,
we got to get some work in. But that was about it for our Mother's Day.
Yeah. Yeah, the same. Everybody went home Sunday for us here, so that was kind of the end of the ride. But we had a good time. It was good weather. I got to take Grant and Paul out on the boat one day, which was nice for them. They nobody wanted to go, but once we got out there, everybody really enjoyed it. One of those deals.
Well, I'm glad you finally got to see your Gran and Paula and Jamie. I mean, it feels like y'all been planning this for.
I know.
What seems like a year. So
yeah,
I'm glad it finally came to fruition.
Yeah, the last time we were all together was Christmas of 19.
Wow.
I know, right?
Unreal.
So I saw Grant and Paula once, but they, it was in the driveway in Mississippi on the way up to your house one time. But yeah,
how's little A? He good?
He was sick, and I think I got something from him. That's where I'm going to go over here and make sure I don't have something when it's over. I feel like I've got a sinus infection, strep throat type thing coming on. But yeah, as soon as I flew down to Tampa via Atlanta Wednesday of last week, and he picked me up at the airport, and we just turned around and drove straight back here. So I basically flew all the way down there just to drive back. And Aiden was sick. Yeah, he had runny nose, had been sick, coughing, didn't sleep good the day before. Just a little, he's in daycare now, so little baby stuff.
Yeah.
So he was a little grumpy. He wasn't his full spirit. And Jamie's like, it's kind of a good thing because if he's full energy, he is all over the place. So he was a little more docile than normal, but he also didn't feel good. Poor little guy. He just didn't feel good. So, but he's good. Just as cute as a button, just growing like a weed, just,
Jamie.
Baby Jamie. Jamie's got him in line, so it was good. It was good to catch up with them and get to spend some time with Aiden because I hadn't much through this whole thing, any of them.
Yeah.
And Sharice and Lola went to Houma for the weekend to visit her family. She was here 1 or 2 nights, and then she went. So we had a couple nights where it was just us, the old school family, chilling out. So
cool.
So that was good, yeah. But I know you were talking about Klein having to step her game up. I can tell you somebody, do my little NBA rap for a second. I can tell you somebody who doesn't need to step their game up anymore, who has already done it, is Russell Westbrook. Again, we talk about him every week, but he's done it again. He has just passed Oscar Robertson, who we all thought was a numbers and a guy that no one would ever pass because you always heard those stories about Oscar Robertson and the triple doubles, and Russ has done past him.
Hey, I was thinking of go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I think it's 181 regular season triple doubles, and to put that in perspective, like James Harden, who's a triple double guy himself, he's got like 58.
Yeah, and Russ gets the rap of being a really selfish guy. And in order to have a triple-double, triple-double, let alone, I think he broke the record with 182, actually.
Oh, was it 182 maybe, yeah.
I think that was the record. I think to tie it was 181. I could be wrong. But
okay.
Either way, whatever. You have to be really unselfish because that means you're getting 10-plus assists a game. And 10-plus rebounds or steals, but it's typically always rebounds a game, and that's the picture of unselfish.
Right. In these
play.
past few games, he's had 20-something. He had 21 and 25.
Yeah. So I think last night, and again, we're recording this a couple of days before you guys will actually hear it, but last night or the night before, I think he had 21, 22 points, 18 assists, and I think like 18, 19 rebounds or something. I mean, it's like he's almost getting 20.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which is insane. And we're talking about in the NBA.
As
we're
a
not
point
talking about
guard.
in AA high school basketball or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
As a point guard.
I don't know, man. Somebody posed a question on local sports radio here, like, should we be considered? Is he underappreciated? I guess was kind of the rap, like, and maybe he is. I mean,
yeah. I mean, he gets max contracts and stuff, I'm sure, but he, I guess just because
maybe from a fan perspective is what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, do we not realize how great he is?
Because he hasn't been on one of those championship teams and went deep in the finals in a while and that kind of stuff.
And he kind of always gets a negative rap for, again, being really a selfish player. Like, oh, he can't work with this guy. He can't work with this guy. It was Durant early on, and then who did he play with? Harden.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was somebody else. But anyway, like, I mean, the dude is just – we've said it on here on this podcast. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen a more explosive player, especially from the point guard position.
He jumps up and takes rebounds over centers on a hop so fast, and his head's at the rim.
I've watched him 6'2", 6'3".
I think he's about 6'4". I think he's a little taller than that. But I've seen him do some off-season training. I can't remember who he took some time to do his training regimen, and it's just extreme out in California up these mountains with parachutes on his back, and I mean just craziness.
Yeah, but well, congrats to him. And
yeah, no doubt.
It's just unreal. I mean, when you break a record in the NBA, any record, but let alone the triple-double record in the NBA, I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
I mean,
no doubt. No doubt. An all-time record, no doubt.
It's insane. Yeah.
No doubt.
So, and speaking of sports, before we get off sports, JR, I just, I gotta give some love to my Razorbacks. The softball team. I mentioned a couple of weeks back that we were in the running. The Razorback softball team was in the running to be the only team to win the SEC, not named Alabama or Florida, in over 20 years. They did get a share of the SEC regular season title. all we needed was for Florida to lose one game to A&M. So what does Florida do? They sweep A&M. And let me tell you how they sweep A&M. 2 games. I know game 3, and I think game 2, if not game 1. They were down in the bottom half of the 7th inning, which is the last inning in softball. They hit both games, hit walk-off home runs to win those games. All we needed was the Aggies to get us one more out in both of those games, and we're the SEC champs alone, but we share it with Florida now. And we get the number 2 seed in the SEC tournament. And this is weird, and I don't know why, but they looked to our series, both of our series between us and Alabama, Florida and Alabama. Florida took 2 of 3 from Alabama. We took 1 of 3 from Alabama, and that was the tiebreaker, which I don't really understand. Maybe it was the only common opponent or something. I don't know. But anyway, first time in the history of Razorback softball we won the SEC, even though it's a co-championship. So congrats to Coach Courtney Deifel and those ladies. And our baseball team is we've talked about on this podcast as well how great the SEC is in baseball. And we likened it to football. So Razorback baseball, this week marks the 13th week in a row we've been number 1 in the nation. Okay? We haven't lost a series all year, including in the SEC. And we're only 1 game up in our division.
That's crazy.
In our division.
In the division, not even the whole conference. That's crazy.
We're tied overall with Tennessee, which we go to Knoxville this weekend to play. We're number 1. We go to Knoxville this weekend to play number 4 Tennessee. And then we come back home to face number, I think, 8 or 9 Florida to close out the year. But it's just great. We've been number 1 in the nation for 13 weeks straight and haven't lost a series, and we're 1 game up in our division.
That is insane. The power of the SEC. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully y'all will take it.
Yeah, I think there's 4, if not all 5 teams in the top 5 are SEC.
Wow.
It's us, Tennessee, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt. I know those 4 are in the top 5 in the nation. And I forget 5. It could be another SEC team. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. But it's going to be a fun end of the baseball season. So
yeah,
and softball season. So.
Yep. And we're and back on hoops. Yeah, and I know by the time this airs, we're only a few days away from the play-in playoffs happening. So it's about to get fun on some sports stuff. So anyway, well, let's take a short break to give a little pause for the calls, a little station identification, and a little time for all of our sponsors to get a word in for them. And when we get back, we're going to have our buddy Dillon Carmichael here on the Justin Moore Podcast.
Hey guys, I'm so excited to announce an awesome opportunity with one of our sponsors, Bobcat Company. Today we're announcing the Straight Out of the Country giveaway where you can enter to win one of 3 pieces of Bobcat equipment. They're giving away a Bobcat compact tractor, a Bobcat zero-turn mower, and a Bobcat utility vehicle. The utility vehicle, also known as a UTV, is one that I've been using on my tour, and I can tell you, it's a great machine and one you would be so lucky to take home. To learn more about the giveaway and to submit your entry, go to bobcat.com/country. We're excited to partner with and announce that We Are Airstream, located in Chandler, Arizona, is coming soon. This is going to be the largest Airstream dealership in the nation, featuring a lush green destination park, 80,000 square foot of climate-controlled indoor storage, world-class service and sales. Visit the Mecca of Airstream at weareairstream.com for all your travel trailer needs. Hey, what's up, guys? Justin Moore here. I want to remind everyone out there listening that my wife Kate has an awesome children's clothing boutique in downtown Benton, Arkansas. It's Central Arkansas. So if you're local, come see us at 119 West South Street in downtown historic Benton, Arkansas. Again, that's 119 West South Street in Benton, Arkansas. And if you're not local, we ship everywhere. So You can find us at shopthislittlepiggy.com and see all that we have to offer, all that my wife Kate has to offer, I should say. Facebook, you can find us at Shop This Little Piggy AR, and Instagram, you can find us at Shop This Little Piggy AR. But check us out. It's called This Little Piggy, and see what we got to offer. ShopThisLittlePiggy.com.
Hi, y'all. This is Brandon Bing, singer-songwriter and whiskey maker. You're tuning into the Justin Moore Podcast. Visit EasyLiquor.com to grab your bottle of Bangtail Whiskey and join the Blue Collar Swaller family today. Follow us on all socials at Bangtail Whiskey for more news and updates. Now pour Jigger and take this a second ride with us.
Hey, bud.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, there he is.
How are you?
Good, brother. Everybody, welcome to the podcast. Our old buddy Dillon Carmichael. I hear through the grapevine he don't want no hot beer. He'd rather have one over some BS, and he got a big old truck. What's going on, buddy?
I'm proud of that song, man. I was hoping it would chart this week, but it didn't. We'll get there.
Oh, yeah.
What's up with you?
Oh man, we're good, brother. Man, I just I was actually listening to some of your music before we jumped on. One of your managers sent me some of the other tracks, the mastered tracks off that. And I don't know if I'm with Pardi on Big Truck, boy. That's a smash, man. That's a fun one too.
Yep, I'm proud of that one too. How you doing, Justin Moore?
Hey, buddy. I'm great, man. Thank you for doing this. I know you got 100 different things you could be doing, and it's always good to see you. It feels like it's been forever, man.
It has. Yeah, it was I think it was California at some vineyard last time I saw you. With,
wow.
Nate Deaton.
Yeah. Nate. Good
a couple
Lord.
Years ago.
What a knucklehead. No, man, we started this podcast when we all got shut down, and it had been kind of a thought bubble for us for a number of years, and you know us well enough to know JR and I like running our mouths, and we thought, that'd be fun, but we always use the excuse that we didn't have time to do it, and certainly we don't have that excuse anymore. So we thought, shit, let's just turn the mics on and go for it, and we've had a lot of fun people on to BS with, and
yeah,
again, very appreciative that you've taken some time out for us, and like JR, man, I was listening actually earlier today to a bunch of stuff, and hot beer I loved, but I was rolling in the floor laughing at Sawing Logs. I'm like, man, I wish to God I would have heard that song first.
I'm gonna drop some names. So
that is so
this
fun.
This is not gonna surprise y'all. Bryce Long, Win Varble, and Brandon Kenney.
Well, there you go.
Oh, I should have known Brandon Kenney was involved in that somehow. So for those out there listening and watching, Brandon Kenney is one of the funniest human beings on the planet and a great songwriter. He and I have written a lot of songs together too, but he has a knack, I would say. Would you agree? For
100%.
For injecting humor into songs. I mean, he just has that thing, and usually it's like Sawing Logs. It's borderline inappropriate, but awesome at the same time.
All these jokes that circulate, y'all, when you hear a joke, you're like, so who came up with that joke? Like, who was creative enough to come up with that joke? I bet Brandon Kenney invented 99% of the jokes in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, pervert from Texas.
Yep.
That's fun. Well, hey, so I know we talked about it briefly before you get jumped on, but I know Jon Pardi helped you produce this, your newest EP you got coming out. Actually, about when this drops, this podcast drops, will be the day before your EP drops. So everybody,
it comes out tomorrow.
Tomorrow, y'all go make
sure
you pre-download that joker, so when you wake up tomorrow, it'll already be on your phone or your computer or whatever you listen from. But tell us about the new record, man. I know we've heard a couple of tracks, and I've been privy to hear a few that aren't released yet. But and I know Pardi helped you with it, and who all did you get to write with? Did you know all that good stuff?
Sure. So, well, actually, I'll just start at Pardi, which I know y'all know Pardi well. Actually, I think the handler is a nickname from Pardi, right?
It was a little pre-party, but it definitely.
It was pre-party. Okay,
yeah, it was a that was at a pre-party.
Misunderstood.
No, it's all good.
But
and hey, well, before I forget though, I want to talking about Pardi. That's how you and I first met. I remember we did a show somewhere, and I was walking Justin to a meet and greet, and I heard this coming from the inside of the arena, and I was like, man, how do I know that song? And then I come back around the corner, we're walking out, it was Country Women, because when I was with Jon, I used to be Jon's tour manager, he used to start the show with Country Women back in the day. We were on tour with Eric Church. And I stepped in there and I said, who is this big old good-looking joker singing the hell out of Country Women? And then I met you backstage, and I was like, this old hillbilly from Kentucky, I think he's got something, by God. And I remember we talked that day, and that was the first. Right. Then we put 2 and 2 together, and that's kind of where you and I met through Pardi, and then he's helping you with this record. But anyway,
we were he was actually like, who is this big old good looking joker who's singing this way better than Jon Pardi?
Yeah. I'm like, this guy could actually make this a single.
You're gonna make me blush. You're gonna make me blush. Now I met Pardi. So I got offered a publishing deal when I was 17. It was kind of at a time where publishing deals weren't just about songwriting. They were doing a thing where it was kind of like an artist development deal / publishing deal, because I had hardly written any songs when I got offered this deal. And so it essentially moved me to Nashville, this deal. And then I signed it and I started writing songs. Well, Pardi was signed at the same publishing company, so we were always crossing paths. And that was when he was on his first record, and I think he had just sent his first single to radio. So no one really, I mean, a lot of people knew who he was because he had a huge fan base already. But as far as just country radio goes, he was just getting started. A lot of people didn't know him then. But we were crossing paths a lot in the hallway and, the little area where we would drink our coffee or whatever. And we just kind of became buddies. But then, he got touring a bunch, and eventually I started touring, doing my thing. We just over the years just never had time to even ever think about making music together. And so when the big quarantine moment hit and no one was doing anything, it just came up in conversation like, what are you doing? You want to make some music? And then it turned into sending songs to each other, and next thing you know, my record label, who knows Pardi well, is like, well, why don't y'all go in the studio and start seeing what happens? And the band was amazing. Everyone was in great spirits. They were just excited to be there. And we just totally captured that moment. And it's like, well, let's do it again and again and again. And next thing you know, we got a record. I also did work with Dan Huff and Phil O'Donnell on this record. So there's actually 3 producers on. Yeah, Phil Billy. And it reminds me like the old Keith Whitley records or whatever, where there's just like 7 producers on one album. Yeah. But yeah, there's 3 producers on the one album.
It takes a village.
Man. So
but it's been a great experience.
At the time you got that publishing deal, if my timing is accurate, would have been what, 2013-ish?
Yeah,
like that?
I mean, it was, I think it was November 2012 is when I officially signed it. I had to turn 18. It was on my 18th birthday because I couldn't legally sign a contract.
Wow.
Because kind of like you, man. I was in the kind of the same boat a lot earlier. I won't say when because I don't want to date myself. But it was kind of the same way, man. I had written some songs, but I had written a lot of really awful songs, to be honest with you, and got a publishing deal. But it was really kind of it was one of those deals where it kind of hinged on the fact that I was an artist as well, and really it I signed with Keith Stegall's company at the time, and for those out there listening, longtime Alan Jackson producer among many others, but it really taught me a lot about the business, and it taught me because they were putting me in rooms with people that I had no business being in rooms with to write songs.
3 in the fire.
I don't know if you were in the same boat, but it really, I learned how to write songs. I learned a lot about the industry. I learned a lot of, I made a lot of relationships rather with people, and it was the biggest step in my career to date to get me to where I'm at now.
For sure. Yeah. I remember sitting in, one of my first writes was Phil O'Donnell, who's now one of my producers. Phil O'Donnell and Steve Bogard was one of my first. And I
love Steve.
was like, yeah, and they were playing me, all these songs they had written. I'm like, wow. And then I just start seeing them, how they're writing, and they're just taking these melodies and they're mumbling, and it outside looking in, it looks stupid, but they're just sitting there mumbling. You can't. It kind of sound like you said this, and maybe this is a hook. And then I started realizing it's not just sitting down like a poet and just writing the lyrics down. It's like a combination of all of it together. And yeah, I'm with you. I think that was a huge step, just figuring out, watching other people do it. They say, surround yourself with people that are better than you. So I think that, yeah, I was like you, thrown right in the fire.
Yeah, there's definitely a method to the madness. I was 18 at the time as well. I said, it was just a lot earlier.
Yeah,
I reached 18 a lot sooner than you did. But yeah, and for those out there listening, Steve Bogard wrote, just a couple of his really notable hits for George Strait were "I'm Carrying Your Love With Me." That he wrote I get carried away by the look, by the light. That's just a couple, and he's had tons and tons and tons. I used to play a lot of golf with Steve when I first moved to town.
Yeah.
And just a great guy, really, really great guy. And Phil O'Donnell has written tons of hits as well, produced
George
a lot
Strait.
of great stuff. And so, yeah, definitely being in those rooms, at least for me, I was going, what the hell am I doing here? Like, how did I wind up here? And I'd go in there with 2 or 3 ideas, and I'd throw them out there like title ideas, and they go, yeah. And they kind of start looking around, and then
what
they
are you looking at?
Talking amongst themselves, and I'm going, that must have been a really shitty idea. It's kind of funny. But.
Well, that's kind of how I am with this podcast. I'm like, how did I end up here right now?
Because we love your stuff, man. Again, like I said, I was listening earlier today, and man, I just absolutely love your voice, and like JR, I recognize that when we played some shows together over the years, and
that's awesome.
I know we've discussed doing some stuff together, and I want to make that happen. We'll talk about that off the podcast.
Absolutely.
But man, I'm just such a huge fan. I really am. I love what you do. I think you're just a great singer, and I'll just be completely honest. You don't have to be, but I will be. Like, there's not a lot of great singers in our business. And that's not only country music. It's any genre of music, and you are a great singer, in my opinion. So,
well, thank you.
I'm pulling for you, brother.
Yeah. Well, coming from you, I appreciate that. That is really something amazing hearing you say that. But back to what you were saying 2 seconds ago. You don't really have to be, I guess, anymore. From what I hear, you don't have to be a great singer.
Yeah, right.
No, a lot of magic we can pull off in the studio. Huh?
Yeah, for sure.
No, when I saw you, I knew when I saw you were going to have new music out. I know you and John had posted some stuff a month or so ago, and I reached out to Dan Anderson, who works with your label, and Dan and I were actually together with Jon Pardi. He was John's manager, and I was John's tour manager back in the day. So Dan and I, and Dan's an Alabama guy like me, so we stay in touch. And I reached out to him, and I was like, "You think Dillon's down to jump on the podcast whenever somewhere around his album release?" And he was like, "Absolutely."
Heck yeah.
So that's how it worked out. Because I always said that, this podcast is a platform for us to catch up with our friends, but it's also a way for us to promote and people that we really like and things that we really want to promote and that we want to get behind. And you being one of them for sure was a no-brainer for us. But
I ain't as cool as Matthew McConaughey, okay? But
when he was your age, he might not have been as cool as you are. You never know. You got time. You got time. But
thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure, brother. I appreciate you taking the time out today. And yeah, when I saw that, I knew John was working on it. Then I saw some of the people that were writing some of these songs, and knowing you had a hand on it, I know it'd be country as hell. So I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. And so far, I'm loving it. I can't wait for everybody tomorrow to hear the whole album too. So and I know I had listened to some stuff when we first met. You had done some stuff like I think it was WSM or some of that kind of stuff pre-pandemic, which is strange to think about pre-pandemic. So I was like, let me see if I can find. And I went back and did. And it's so weird to listen to stuff before the world went crazy, and then now, because it's just a whole different perspective. But I know. Well, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, along with what you're saying, I mean, the way it changed my music and this new album is, man, I was like, and I'm sure I'll have a moment where I'll sing some more sad songs, because I'm a sad song junkie. I love sad old country songs, but it's kind of like, man, I think on this record I want some more lighthearted, and some up tempo, some lighthearted, something that'll put a smile on somebody's face, like Justin was talking about sawing logs and Big Truck. I mean, it hints at some pretty funny things, and Hot Beer's about a breakup, but it's lighthearted the way it's handled. And I was just really focusing on that. Even though there's some heavy things in there. I got a song called Son of a in there that's there's a kid that's moving to town. He reached out to me. He said, "Hey man, is there any tips to, as a songwriter?" And I sent him that song Son of a, which is an odd title, but you got to listen to the song.
Yeah.
But I sent him that song Son of a, and I said, "Man, the only tip I have as a songwriter is write songs that make you as proud as this song does me." And it was like,
that's great. That's
man,
great
when we wrote that song, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. So there is some heavy subjects on there. There has to be, because that's what country music's all about. But also at the same time, I'm like, man, people want to smile. I think they're going to be, when they get out and about and the world starts opening back up, they're going to be ready to have some fun. So that's what this record is. It's amazing how everything around you can just kind of change your art a little bit.
Right. And
see, I love a title like Son of a, because used to, when I would get songs pitched to me, you would get a CD from your producer, or in your case, one of your 12 producers. And the titles would all be on the back, and I would read through the titles and see if something jumped off the page at me. And I always love when titles jump off the page at me, and I go, I got to hear that. What's that about? And then when you listen to it, when it completely surprises you, like I'll give you an example. You Look Like I Need a Drink. I was sitting somewhere in California on a day off in between 4 or 5 shows or whatever, and we were getting ready to record whatever album that was on, and I thought, You Look Like I Need a Drink. I thought, that's different. I got to hear that. And I thought it was going to be something completely opposite of what it was. And so I love that. Like Son of a, like you just saying that title, I want to hear that song now. I have no idea what it's about, but I want to hear it because I love the title. So that's great, man. I think titles that are a little bit left of center, I think are awesome. Personally.
It was me and Phil Billy and Casey Beathard that wrote that song, and Casey had the title, and he's like, I got this title. It's called Son of a. And it was just like, I was sitting there every way in the world trying to figure out what we would do with this title. And then he started playing kind of this general verse thing, and then just kind of showing the concept. And basically it's like, I called my dad everything under the sun. I went stomping through the house, slamming the door, stomping my boots on the floor, calling him every single name I could possibly think of. And he walks in and he goes, I got something I want to call you. You're a son of a mama. You're a son of a dad, and starts just, it was based on just growing up. And I think
is Casey not a monster?
Oh man.
I don't know that there's ever been a better songwriter in Nashville ever.
He's unreal, man. It's every time I write with him, I just have to get in this headspace, because if I'm not on it, he'll outrun me. I won't even be able to keep up with him, and I'll leave there like, what did I even have a part of this song? Like I have to get in the headspace and be like, all right, writing with Casey today.
Yeah. Psych yourself up.
Yep.
Yeah. For our listeners and viewers, Casey Beathard has written, I don't even know where to begin. He's written so many hit records and just he's just a great songwriter. He and I have written a ton of my songs off the last 2-3 records together, and I mean he's unreal. I mean he really is. It's weird because like I know all the same words he does, but I can't put them together like he does. You know what I mean? Like I know all the same words. Why can't I put them together the same way? Like
I was writing with him the
he's
day.
Unreal.
I was writing with Casey the day. That's why we drank.
Mm-hmm.
When that hit number one.
Oh wow!
And I remember he was talking about that. Like, yeah, man, that was a good day writing that song. Just blessed to have another hit song. And I'm like, dude, that would just change. I don't know that I would be sitting here writing if I got a number one. I'd probably be like hammering beam or something down at Losers, just screaming.
Right. Dillon, I'll be completely honest with you. The way I've written my last 2 or 3 albums is my wife and I have a place in Florida, in Destin, and the first 2 albums of mine I wrote and actually recorded the vocals down there in just some hole in the wall studio, and we went through the phase where we were on the road all the time and writing on the road, and I mean, you know, that to me was not the most enjoyable experience writing on the road. And we get to the last couple of albums that we did, and I go, why don't we just go back down to Florida? We got a place down there now, and we'll do it kind of retreat style. And Casey was one of the guys we asked to go with us. Me and my producer Jeremy Stover, who I'm sure you've met and know.
Yeah.
But, and so the day that we actually wrote That's Why We Drink, it was me, Casey, Jeremy, and David Lee Murphy. And we were hanging out at our beach house drinking beer. And I think Casey and David Lee Murphy were sitting on the porch swing or something. And I had this idea. I said, I got this idea, but I don't know how to write it. It's called Why We Drink. And because my mother had, my mom and dad and myself and my wife had gone to like Chili's or something, and I had ordered 2 or 3 beer or something by the time our food got there. My mom goes, "Why you drink so much?" I'm like, "Well, hell, I like drinking. I don't know." And so it gave me this idea why we drink. Like, why do people drink? You know, and I had no idea how to write it. And so I throw it out there, and it was either Casey or David Lee who goes, "'Cause it's Friday, 'cause it's Monday." And I go, yes, that's it. Every
that's so
reason.
well written too.
And so, honestly, man, we wrote that in like 30 minutes.
That's crazy.
A couple of us were in the pool. A couple of us were on the swing. It was
just yelling at each other. I got a line.
Yeah, ridiculous. I mean, it's so funny. How
that's a great tune.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it, man.
Well, you're going to have one of those here for too long, Dillon. So you got to circle back with us and tell us how you celebrate when you're hanging out somewhere. And
I will.
You hear that number one ring the bell.
Yeah, well, y'all be there. You're already invited.
I look forward to it. Well, hopefully, maybe we'll be on a lake somewhere fishing or something.
There you go.
A little more fun than working. When
I got 99 problems, but fish ain't one.
That's right.
That's right. Hey, I ain't gonna lie. When we're done with this, I'm going fishing.
Are you?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say every 20 seconds I get in a day, I'm out there.
I love it.
Hey, that sounded like a Brandon Kenny idea too.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if it was, but I got 99 problems, but a fish ain't one.
Oh, you know what? Well, I know Casey was on that. I'm trying to think who else was on that. It has been a couple years since I cut that one. I can find out.
Not 19, maybe something like that.
Yeah, 19. That sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah. Hey, was that the album? I think I remember hearing a story on Coffee Country and Cody one time. You telling the story? Was that the record once it was done that they gave you that vintage Martin?
No, that was my first record.
Okay.
So the one before that with country, the one that had country women on
it. Okay.
Yeah, and actually it's this one right here behind me.
Oh wow. Justin, that's what a vintage Martin looks like. Justin's bought a Martin recently for your buddy Delaney Wilson. He bought her a Martin, but he still does not own a Martin because we've been looking for this 80s model one he really wants. But Justin, am I right, Dylan? That's a 46 Martin you got behind you?
Yeah, that's a 46. It was the most amazing gift I ever got. It's post-war. It doesn't have a truss rod because I guess during the Depression, metal was just incredibly expensive. So it doesn't have a truss rod, which freaks me out. So I don't take it anywhere.
Yeah,
I will never take that on the road. It just hangs right here. My basement's got the right humidity and everything. But I'll take it into the studio sometimes and let those, real session players play it. I'll be like, hey, here's a 46 Martin. Sometimes they'll pick it up and play on it. Sometimes they're like, I'm going to stick with what I got. But it's just, I love to write on it. It's got a certain spirit about it.
Is it a D18 or a D28?
18, D18. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I've got every guitar pretty much that I want, but I'm looking for an old. He said 80s Martin. I'm looking for a 40s, 50s Martin.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just every time I find one that I think, all right, this is the one, I play it, and I'm like, because they're really expensive, obviously.
Yeah.
So
the guy that gifted this to me owns the record label I'm at, Riser House. His name's Matt Swanson, and he has a huge guitar collection, and he has all the Martins, and he wheels and deals, trades and sells and all this different stuff. So y'all definitely give him a holler. I guarantee you, if he don't have it, the one for you, he knows somebody that does.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the oldest guitar I have. It's about a 50-year-old Guild.
Oh, okay, man. I love a Guild. I've wanted one of those for a long time too.
I've got a D50 and a D55. My D50 is probably 30 years old. That one's like 50 years old, and I'm like you, man. I don't take it anywhere.
Wow.
It just,
Yeah, that
any
thing's
good
gorgeous,
guitar.
though.
You learn that
it doesn't look.
No, it was well taken care of. You learn being on the road. If you value it, don't take it on the road. It's going to get broke or
no, man.
something. So
there's just no way to avoid it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
Go ahead, JR.
No, I was going to ask, talking about what you just said about taking it on the road, not tearing up your stuff on the road. Everybody knows that you come from a musical family. I know the first time we met you, you stuck your mom in the back. That way she wouldn't steal the spotlight from you in your band. But you come from, and her brothers are obviously Jon, Michael, and Eddie, buddies of ours and legends in their own right. Did any of those guys give you advice like this? Is just something I just thought of. Any of those guys give you advice like that when you were going to town, or did you just pick up stuff like that as you were growing up around music folks to know kind of? You might have got to dodge a few of the stuff other folks didn't know about just from being around folks,
Yeah, they did. Eddie and Jon both gave me advice. It was definitely very important advice. They gave me more advice than they probably realize. Again, like you said, just growing up around it and being in the crossfire of some of their conversations at the Thanksgiving dinner. But they gave me advice like, hey, don't sign a contract unless you have an attorney, which is what I didn't realize it's a huge problem in Nashville.
Yeah. Usually your attorney's the first guy you need to find when you get there.
Hey, let me interrupt for just a moment for our listeners and our viewers. So what we're talking about is Dillon is the nephew of Jon Michael Montgomery and Eddie Montgomery, obviously of Montgomery Gentry. And so a lot of people know that, but a lot of people listening and watching may not know that. So I just wanted to make certain that people understood where we're coming from. So go ahead.
Yes.
Dillon,
so my mom is Becky Montgomery, and she's the sister of Eddie Montgomery and Jon Michael Montgomery. So I grew up in a music family. They've, when I was a kid, they were doing the Opry. I would see them on TV. I would hear them on the radio. Obviously, a big part of my decision to want to be a big country star was watching my uncles be that. And unfortunately, I didn't see some of the downsides, and I probably still haven't seen some downsides. But overall, it's been amazing, and I wouldn't trade a single thing. But yeah, going back to Nashville, they showed me, hey, make sure you have an attorney when you sign a contract. Another thing was surround yourself with, for lack of better terms, a clique, people that you click with, that get you and you get them, and you can write songs together and tour together and just little things along the way. But definitely helped. I think I just in the past couple of years realized how much growing up around that helped, especially some of my buddies that's gotten themselves in some pickles in the industry. And it's like, man, you didn't know that? No, I didn't have that guidance. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right.
And like you said, a lot of it's stuff you just soaked up, like you said, just listening, hearing the lingo and stuff.
Yeah.
So are you young enough that you don't remember when Jon Michael was like super hot, or do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember the late 90s part of it, but the 1994 Love the Way You Love Me, and I swear, I mean, I was born in 93, so I was one year old. But I did get to my grandmother's really good about keeping documentation. I mean, she kept a journal still every single day.
I'm sure.
When she wakes up, she keeps a journal. So she's got video and just stories like you wouldn't believe. So I kind of feel like I was there.
He was as hot as it gets, man.
Yeah.
I swear it was huge, dude. I was
ain't nothing
so I was
but
13.
beer and bones. Honey, since I lost you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously you were around in a time where you remember when Eddie, got real hot with Montgomery Gentry, and which kind of leads me to another topic. So obviously you have a lot of the same tendencies as Eddie.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not the first time you've heard that vocally.
For sure.
And I mean that as a compliment because I love Eddie's voice. Like, to me, you're a more rangy Eddie. And I think he would admit that as well.
Man,
I know Eddie well. I actually brought out his hat for you today. He and I traded hats one night on tour.
Sweaty Eddie's hat.
But man, I've always loved his voice, and to me, and again, I hope you take it as a compliment. To me, you sound a lot like him. Your tone, and I think you're more rangy though.
I take that as a compliment. I'm a fan as well of Eddie's voice. I'm more like my personality's more like John, my mom will say, but I sound like Eddie when I talk, and it's a joke between Eddie and I. He'll say, "Gosh, man, when we talk to people on the radio, they don't know if they're talking to you or talking to me." And when they hear your song, they're like, "Hey, I love that song, Eddie. That one song. I don't know. I just Sawing Logs. Man, that's a funny song." And it'd be like, "Hey, what are you talking about? That's my nephew's song." But he'll get up. He jokes and he goes, "Yeah, that's my uncle Dillon. I don't know if you can tell, but he's a lot older than me."
Well, where I'm going with that though is like, did you, when you moved to town and sought out a record deal, was that ever a negative? Like, did people go, we already got Eddie?
Nah. I don't think so. It's like I said, I don't want people to get confused and think it's a Montgomery Gentry song. But if they do, it's not the end of the world. I think Montgomery Gentry is great. But no, I think it was probably a positive. It definitely,
that's awesome.
It definitely got people when they found that out. It made them listen.
Right.
I mean, I can't sit here and lie and be like, everyone in my that I've came across in my career. If they weren't my uncles, would they have listened to me? Would they have given me the time of day? Some situations, probably not.
Yeah.
So I can't sit here and act like that didn't have.
Well, I bet they would have, because you're incredibly talented.
Yeah, as soon as you got to crack your pipes, you'd have been in good shape. But
yeah, and you're
probably
your own.
Helped open a door, crack the door at least a little.
Yeah, and you're definitely your own artist, and the music to me is not similar. It's just, I was just kind of curious because that kind of intrigued me, because sometimes, record labels look at every reason to say no.
Yep.
And so I didn't know if that might have been one of the reasons that maybe you heard no a time or two. But and kind of where I was going with that is because you recorded Lucky Man, which is on your album that comes out tomorrow. Correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so I didn't know if maybe you had apprehensions about doing that because of, our conversation we just had or not. I mean, it's an incredible song. I mean, obviously.
Yes. I mean, so a couple years ago, well, maybe even longer than that, 4 or 5 years ago, I did rebel. I went through a stage where it's like, oh, I'm my own person. I wouldn't talk about my uncles unless it was in a non-music kind of way. I've always loved my uncles. They're just my uncles to me. But I've always loved them. But when it came to music, I kind of rebelled a little bit. Like, I'm my own man. Like, quit comparing me and all this stuff. And then at some point between then and now, I kind of just, now I'm proud of it.
Right.
And I want to record and honor their songs and stuff like that. I'm still thinking, man, I haven't done a Jon Michael song. Maybe it's time to do a Jon Michael song.
Yeah.
But there was a point in my life where I rebelled, but I've really here lately just grown to and also T-Roy passing. It was kind of like, man,
he was probably like another uncle to you, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it was just like, man, this can end. There's more than, I can't take this lightly. This is a real thing, and this is my life, and this is a legacy, and I have to appreciate that, and I have to tell that story, and that's one of the reasons Lucky Man was a tribute to my family legacy and a tribute to the late Troy Gentry. Man. And so I think that's just a start for. I'm going to be cutting my uncle's songs again in the future. I'm just such a fan, and I really enjoyed doing that. Lucky Man. That's a great song.
You sang the snot out of it. No, it's really, really good.
Well, that kind of is a family tradition kind of thing that Hank Jr. same thing. He didn't want to sing. He didn't want to be known as daddy's stuff, and then then it's all about balance, man. You're definitely your own, but like you said, it's that legacy, and then it's the new thing, and it's your influences from your buddies with your family mixed together that bring it, then your own personal. So it's that balance thing. So I think you're right on track with that, man. Yeah, embrace that all day. Those are great guys, and nothing to be ashamed of or nothing.
They're great people. Yeah. They're great human beings. I'm super proud to have such a great family. So
and you're going to be the next one to lead that. Then when your kids or nephews or nieces or want to be it, and they'll look up to Uncle Dillon. You know what I mean? They'll be proud to be little.
Oh Lord!
Yeah, little Dillonette, your little niece Dillonette comes up to be the next Loretta Lynn one day. She'll be proud to be you. Yep, that's how it works. Hey, talking about that the Lucky Man thing. Next time you go out and play it live, you got to go don one of those big hats and a trench coat like Eddie would do. Hey, I tell you, one of the first times I met Eddie, we did a show together. There it is.
Dang, I thought that was Eddie.
Yeah, right.
Ain't that ugly, am I?
Yeah, you need your little long skinny cigarette with it. We had done a show. I used to work for a guy named Wayne Mills from Alabama, and we'd done a few shows. Okay. And him and your Uncle Jon Michael were buddies, and but I never got to meet Eddie before, and I seen him backstage at shows, like fairs and stuff back in Alabama, and so I'm at Nashville. I'm at my first CRS week, which is what they used, country radio seminar. It was different back then. It was at the convention center. It was at the hotel, and they had that bridge bar that went above the road up there, is where everybody they had labels. Everybody had the suites rented out, but everybody'd meet at that bar to have drinks in between going places. And I'll never forget, I come around the corner, and
debauchery.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is what it was.
So I'm going there to meet up with somebody.
Stuff that would have got us canceled. Nowadays is what took place up there.
I'm going to meet my buddies and Jamie Johnson and them. So I'm walking to meet them. They're like, "Hey, we're over at the bar. Just come in." So I walk. I see Jamie. I'm like, "Oh, there they are." And I start walking that way, and then I see the trench coat from behind, and he turns, and it's your Uncle Eddie, buddy, and he is in full stage gear, the hat, the full trench coat, black, buddy. He got some boots on with some blue or it was like
red Jim Beam boots.
Yeah,
well, I think he had those on.
I might have been. I thought
I want a pair of those. I don't know what size he wears. I wear a 10D. If he wears a 10D, I want a pair of those.
Hey, I think Jim Beam would love that for you to wear one of those. But you got to have one pant leg tucked in and the other untucked.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way, because you got to show it off.
Oh yeah,
Hank Jr. Why you do that? He goes, "Well, I got to show off the the boot.
Absolutely. But yeah, and he turned and he had that big old long Virginia Slim cigarette or something. And I was expecting a cigar or something, but it was a long, skinny cigarette. He was just getting him one in before he had to get back to work. You know what I mean? Whatever the deal was. But we met that day and he was super cool and has been ever since. So you're chip off the old block in that regard. For sure. And that would be a trip if you walked out there just and see how long it took him to realize that it was you and wasn't him. If you tucked your hair up in or something, you know.
Yeah, you'd have to tuck your hair up in because he's bald, right?
He's bald,
so
yeah. He ain't got much less long hair. Yeah, he's bald as I don't know. He's bald.
Cue ball.
Yeah.
I didn't think you could be that bald.
He don't even shave it. It just stays bald.
Hey, shifting gears, we talk a lot of sports on this podcast, Dillon. Did you grow up playing sports at all?
Yeah, I did. So I went to school. They didn't have a football team. I was more built for football, but I settled for baseball, and I enjoyed it. So I played baseball.
The school was too small to have a football team?
Too small. Yeah, they had
I know the feeling. I mean, I was not, unlike you, I was not built for football. But we didn't have one either because we were too small. We didn't have enough kids.
Yeah, small. I mean, at Arkansas, I mean, there's even smaller towns in Arkansas, but Bergen was population 900. I think yours, I was reading once, I think yours was like, what, 300 or 400?
Yeah.
In the whole town?
Like 300, yeah.
Yeah.
And for those out there listening and watching, Dillon's from Kentucky, small town in Kentucky.
Bergen.
So
a lot of good pickers and singers come out from where you're from, brother, no doubt.
Yep. Of course, growing up in Kentucky, shall I say that we're Wildcat fans?
Oh, yeah. It's all about basketball, baby.
Yeah, we're all about basketball. As I got into music, I did lose touch a little bit with basketball. We never, especially, I mean, we're better now, but when I was growing up, Kentucky football wasn't really, it was kind of the unspoken thing that we'd go to the games, but we wouldn't talk a whole lot about it because we didn't really accomplish much. But we did talk about basketball a lot, all my buddies and stuff. But when I got to Nashville and I started getting surrounded by musicians all the time, and you couldn't find the game on local Nashville TV, and I just kind of lost touch with it. And then I'm engaged to a girl that went to UK, so now we're more involved now. But yeah, man, I loved baseball and just the memories that were created in that moment. And Justin, I think that you're a coach, right? Don't you coach your kids and stuff?
Yeah, I coach so Dillon, I have 3 daughters who are 11, 9, and almost 7, and I coach all 3 of their teams.
Wow.
3 different teams.
You busy man.
So Monday night we have a doubleheader. Tuesday night we have a doubleheader. Sunday we have practice. I have practice for 6 hours. Just wait till you have kids. And you said you're engaged, right?
Yeah, congrats on that. I didn't know that. Congrats, buddy.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, just wait. It's coming down the pike for you, man. So you'll get off the road and you'll go straight to ball practice and coach ball games. But man, I love it.
And then go on the road and then get home.
I absolutely love it.
And get home on Sunday morning on the bus and gotta spring up, be ready to go to practice all day, like you had plenty of rest out on the road.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's funny.
What
I don't
positions
remember.
You play in baseball?
Oh well, I was. My goal was first base. I wanted to play first base. And then I ended up second string pitcher, but I was right field. So I would do, I very rarely pitched, but I was kind of proud of that. I always wanted to play first base, and I never could get it because there was this one guy who I'm friends with now who took it from me because he was great at it. I mean, he was great at first base. But I was right field and second string pitcher.
So what pitches do you have?
Oh man, it's been a long time now. I will say this. This doesn't answer your question, but I remember the very first time the first string pitcher guy like sprained his ankle or something. They're like, "All right, Dillon, it's your time to shine." and I was doing great in practice, man. I was just sending them right down the middle, and man, we had that game, and he sprained his ankle, and I went out there. And, all right, here we go. Man, I reared back and I launched that thing. I was so nervous, and it goes like way. And my coach, he was just sitting there going. And then I ended up getting, which is so weird, mono. You ever heard of mono?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody used to get that for a little while.
Yeah, I was in school, and I got mono, man. It put me out of practice for like a month. And then when I came back, they had pulled me, from that pitching position, and I was pretty much just staying in the outfield, which wasn't my favorite thing in the world. And I missed so much of it. I really got discouraged then, but I ended up, I started falling in love with music, and I fell a little bit out of love with it. So I never did end up pursuing it.
Did you, so when you switched over to music, did you play stuff like in high school at parties and things like that, or weddings or church? Yeah. Oh, did you?
Oh yeah, man. I was the entertainment at every party that ever happened in my hometown. I mean, it was like girls that would never talk to me would come up and talk to me because I could play and sing, and not even that good. Just like, oh, that guy plays guitar and he sings,
So that was actually cool back in Kentucky when you were doing that in high school. See, when I started doing it, I started like as a junior in high school, and the only thing that was cool back then was to be an athlete. But when I started playing music, people were like, okay, that's weird, but whatever. Like, and girls I thought were like cute or whatever. They're like, you sing? And I go, I mean, I guess. I don't know. And they're like, okay. It was like weird because nobody around here did it. But I will say Kentucky kind of has I don't know, tradition maybe is the right word, but of breeding like incredible musicians and artists. And you mentioned Keith Whitley earlier, Kentucky guy. Yeah. And
I mean, as we know,
I don't know.
Roger, our guitar player, he all these people he's introduced us through that, and the way y'all have like the Kentucky Opry, you got your own Opry and stuff,
Yeah, but that's awesome for you that there was like it was a good thing. Like for me, it was like it made me even stranger than I already was. like they were like, all right, but cool. How did you do in the baseball game last night? And I'm like, I don't know. Went 0 for 4. They're like, see ya. Whatever.
I'm going to ask you this question. What would you think if now Justin Moore went to whatever 17-year-old Justin Moore and was like, dude, this is what's going to happen? What would you say?
I would have thought you were out of your mind. I mean, man, Dillon, I was so obsessed with sports, man. I in particular baseball. I was a pretty good basketball player too, and I played basketball, but I was so obsessed with baseball. That's all I wanted to do, and I wanted to make a living doing it. And then, in all reality, I was 5'6" and 140 pounds, and I thought, there's no way I'm gonna make money doing this, Yeah. And so fortunately, I made a decision that I've made a lot of bad ones, and that was a good one that I thought, I can go play ball at some small college for 4 years and, maybe ride the pine for a couple of years and play for a couple of years or whatever. But, in a lot of ways, playing guitar and jumping on stage replaced that adrenaline rush. That baseball and basketball gave me, sports gave me. But I would have thought you were out of your mind, if you'd have told me that. I would have been like, normal people can do that? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, man, I got all kinds of that kind of stuff. Like, you got to have a plan B, and they're like, what your uncles, they made it big. You think that you're going to make it big? I mean, like, what's the chances? And just trying to talk me out of it, basically. And there wasn't no freaking talking me out of it. And, I was kind of like you. I had other thoughts in mind. Well, maybe I could do this, or maybe I could pursue. I was like, if any sport I would pursue, it'd be football. We don't even have a football team, so that's out of the question. But I definitely got that too. I mean, I did grow up in a town, like you say, where everyone around you is kind of like very realistic. Like, you go to college and you can be a doctor, or you can be an attorney, or if you want to get in the workforce, you can go over to the union, or you can get with this temp serve, whatever you call those. I don't know.
Staffing services type deal.
Whatever kind of thing. And it's like, man, all that just sounds so boring to me. I just wanted that adrenaline rush,
Yep.
That live show adrenaline rush.
That's right.
Hey, there ain't nothing that can replace the feeling of when the lights go down.
Yep. Yeah, no kidding. And you put on a great show, man. I tell you what, I was still in high school. I was probably like a junior or senior. And my uncle, which on my dad's side, not Eddie or John, we were around the same age, which is interesting to have an uncle that's only like 2 years older than you. That was weird, but we were best buds. He's like, man, we got to go to this concert. He's like, there's this dude playing, Justin Moore. He's like, have you heard of him? And I was like, no, I haven't heard of him. He's like, well, I'm taking your ass. And I was underage. I was out there drinking beers. They were buying me beers and stuff. And I was out there drinking beer, watching your show. That was my introduction to you. I was like, this guy kicks ass, man. He's country. We would go see shows like, man, this ain't country. This is stupid. And, man, you were country. I was a fan. I was like, hell yeah. And then you jumped off stage and walked right by me, and I just gave you a big old pat on the back. Didn't even know that.
Love it.
Yeah. That's probably
still got the bruise.
However long ago. 10 years ago, probably 11 years ago.
Wow.
Still got the bruise.
Awesome. That's good. Where were shows near you? Where'd you go to? What towns did you go to see shows?
Rupp Arena was a big one. Lexington.
Burg close to Lexington?
It is in Lexington. That's where the Wildcats play.
No, I'm saying where you're from, your hometown.
Oh yeah, close to Lexington. 45 minutes from Lexington.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we go a little place here. They have a couple baseball parks and stuff that they do shows in. And where the Lexington Legends play or whatever, anywhere really.
Yeah,
we would go see shows a lot. It's part of it.
Man, I've said this a lot, and I'm wearing my blue for you today. But there's no state in the country who's been better to us than Kentucky.
Man, love to hear that.
They're huge music fans. They not only are they, rowdy and energetic, but they're good listening fans, if that makes sense. Like, they listen to lyrics, and they're really, really smart music fans. I would say intelligent music fans. I would say.
I love to hear you say that.
It's always a lot of fun. We actually just booked another show at Rupp Arena, which is one of my favorite places to play, and
fun town,
iconic arena for basketball, obviously. But it's a fun place to play music at. We've done it a number of times, and hopefully, maybe we can get you on the show. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. I tell you, that's one place that I would love to just I have done little things here and there at Rupp Arena, but I would love to just in an actual concert like at Rupp Arena setting. Love to do that, man. That would be an honor. But
so have you? I know it's enemy territory, but have you played 4th Street Live in Louisville?
Louisville, the team, and Louisville, the city. We separate those two things because there's some cool things about the city. Actually, I have a show coming up there. I think it's in June. Yeah, man, it'll be my first.
We've played that probably 10 times. It's a blast.
It's much
such
fun,
a great little spot, and the setup and everything. It's really, really, really cool.
Yep, they got all the people up on the balcony. I've been to 4th Street Live.
Yeah, it's awesome,
times.
Man.
Love it.
Really,
it's one of
really
my favorite
cool.
things.
So when do you got gigs coming up? Is that your first one back out?
Yeah, we have a couple. I mean, I think we have 31 dates booked, and some of those are full band, some acoustic. So we're currently booking right now. We've got a whole new show, we got a whole new band, a whole new show put together. Before we were doing
why'd you fire all the other guys?
Well, actually COVID kind of,
I'm messing with you.
Well, no, I mean, hey, people get fired, things happen. But when COVID hit, like my pedal steel player moved to Minnesota, and my guitar player is going to go out where he's from in California, and he's starting a family out there and stuff. And, all these just kind of things happened, and that's it. I had the same band for 4 years, and now I'm completely restarting. The only original member is my drummer. But so we're working on that, but we got a cool show together. Before I was doing like this kind of outlaw country thing where, I moved around on stage a little bit. We didn't put any effort into putting a show together. Now we've got all that stuff. We had a stagecoach come in, like completely redo our show, where I'm walking around and jumping up on the riser and hitting the crash cymbal and chugging a beer and throwing it into the crowd and hell yeah, yeehaw, all that shit. I know it can be redundant, but those people out there, all they see is just that it's entertaining.
Oh yeah.
They don't sit there and be like, oh, well, that, that's a trick from, whoever. It's a
man,
show.
If the fans can tell you're having a good time, they're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
It is a good
Simple
time.
as that.
And it's not called playing and singing. It's called show business. That's part of the show.
Exactly. But my rule of thumb is if it affects my ability to sing, I'm not doing it. So you're not going to see me pulling as much as I love Garth Brooks and I'm a big fan and of his show, you're not going to see me doing Garth Brooks stuff out there, because I do want to be able to perform and be able to sing to the top of my ability. But yeah, it's something we've really taken serious in the last couple of years. One thing I've always liked, another reason why I want to do some more tempo, because I had a lot of stuff that was dragging. I mean, we got balls to the wall all day now, so we're ready to roll.
Yeah, well, y'all go. Everybody make sure DillonCarmichael.com and look for all of his dates and stuff for when he's got these shows coming up. And if he's near you, definitely go see him. And even if he ain't near you, make a trip and go see him, because you want to see this new show. I guarantee it. Hey, well, I know you got to get out of here because you want to go fishing. But I got a few things I want to run by you before you do. One, I want to say congrats. Is it your girlfriend I met with you a couple years ago? Same girlfriend?
Shayla.
Yep, Shayla. That's right. Met her that first night we met you. Awesome, man. Well, tell her we said congrats also.
Absolutely,
do y'all got a date set yet?
Fall of 2022, and that's all we know. We don't actually have a date or a venue yet, so awesome. we're still shopping around for that kind of stuff. Fun, right?
Yeah, good. We'll take your time. You ain't gonna do it but once, so take your time. I waited till I was in my mid-30s before I did the plunge, so you ain't gonna do it but once. Justin did it when he was, him and Kate's been together about 20 years, so
wow,
he did it pretty early
awesome.
too. But yeah, so that's awesome. Well, and you've got time too to make sure you get our addresses so we can get our invitations, and wherever it's at, we'll make sure there. And Justin's an ordained minister. He can marry you up if you need one.
No kidding.
There you go.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I really am. Yeah, it was kind of ridiculous, but hey, as a band, we're looking for gigs. So
yeah.
Okay, well, we'll have to do a little audition and make sure y'all got all your stuff together, but we'll take it into consideration.
Right.
I appreciate it.
I like it. Hey, another one thing I wanted to mention on here too that I thought was really cool that you have been doing lately, and I actually saw this when I was in Nashville a few weeks ago. It was on the local news. They were talking about it. You in your neighborhood, you felt obliged as an American to help out some of your neighbors with their American flags. You want to tell us how that all came about?
Sure. Yeah. Well, initially it was something I was keeping on the down low. I mean, I had people saying, wow, you look really familiar. It's like, oh yeah, it's probably just because we live in the same city, but really they know just I look familiar from Spotify or whatever.
Yeah. You're like, no, you saw me in Kroger. I was in Kroger behind you the other day. Yeah.
And the only reason I wanted to do that was because it's still to this day only in Hendersonville, Tennessee that this is going down until I figure out how to effectively spread this out further. But basically what happened was, we moved into this house we're in now, September of 2020. And I just kind of felt the need to hang a flag. I mean, it's like, all right, this is our house. I'm proud of this country we live in. I'm going to hang a flag. So I went down to Lowe's, bought a flag kit and hung it up when we moved in. And I was just kind of and I've had flags at my house before, but for whatever reason this time, everything we've kind of been through in this country, and just really feeling it, and it was just really speaking to me, and it kind of lit me up inside. And I said the Pledge of Allegiance, and it's like, man, this is America.
No doubt.
I've got Old Glory hanging on my house. I'm saying the Pledge of Allegiance. It's like, and then after that, it's kind of like when you buy a new car and you go and you drive around, and it's like all of a sudden you start noticing cars like yours, and you never did that before. It's like, this is weird. Well, I started noticing these houses that either didn't have Old Glory flying, or if they did, it was torn to shreds and old, or a storm blew it over or whatever. And it's like, man, I got to do something about this, because I remember when I was a kid growing up in Kentucky, every house had a flag. If a house didn't have Old Glory hanging up, you would look at it like, well, why don't they have a flag?
Right.
And so it's like, man, I want to really get back to that. And if I can just do a little something to get closer to that. So I just went that day, I went and I bought 15 of those same flag kits at Lowe's, and I got on Facebook and I said, I will hang a flag in Hendersonville, Tennessee for anyone and everyone for free. No catch. This is it. Just contact me. And I hung all 15 of those flags with it by the end of the week. Wow. And it was just so rewarding. And I just wanted to keep doing it. Well, it kind of started, getting out a little bit. And I was like, well, there's no way to avoid this. So it's like Country Singer is out hanging flags. The news channel kept reaching out to me like once a week. They're like, hey, we really think this is cool. We don't have to talk about your music. We just want to talk about that you're doing this.
Yeah.
Finally, I was like, let's do it. So the News Channel 5 in Nashville came out and just covered. They didn't talk about my music. They just covered the fact that I was hanging the flag. And so what I realized too is like, it's not even if I don't have to be the one that hangs the flag, but if the word gets out there and it makes people go, wow, you know what? I really do need to hang a flag. And they go and do it. Like, that's the whole point. Right. I don't have to do it myself. It's just the spirit of it that I want to spread. And really it's nothing except I just love where I come from. I came from Bergen, Kentucky, USA. And I love that. And I love my country, and I want to show it in every way I can. And that's just one way, but two, it's, I went and I won't stay on this long, but I went over and I got a call from this young kid. He said, hey man, I work 24/7. My grandpa is a Vietnam vet, and he's widowed. His wife had passed away. And he's like, man, he would love the company. Can you go over to his house and hang a flag? I was like, absolutely, man. So I went over, this guy, Larry, went to his house, and I start hanging this flag, and this old man's sitting out there, and he's talking to me. I hang this flag up. I'm like, well, I'm going to get out of here. And he's like, can I ask you a question? And we got to talking more and more. Next thing I know, I'm sitting on this veteran's front porch for 2 hours on a Sunday, talking to this guy, and his wife is not around. His grandson works all the time. He has nobody. It's in the middle of COVID. And it's like, gosh, man, you just realize that there's more lives out there than your own. And there's people like this. And I bet that, I bet he was tickled to death about that.
Oh,
and so then it was more than just going and hanging Old Glory. It was about fellowship.
Yeah.
It's like, man, this is just good. And I just want to continue to do this. If it's one flag a month, or if I do it every day of the week, I just want to keep doing it.
Well, I was going to say, like, to your point, like kindness and patriotism are like this close.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and that showed both of those things, in my opinion.
And like you said,
it's really rewarding.
And if nothing else, to remind everybody, we live in a wonderful country. It's been a little crazy, as everywhere has been lately, but this is still the greatest country in the world, and we all should be proud of that. And like that veteran you sat with, for all those people who put their lives on the line to make sure we could be an American free, and you could walk around your neighborhood and put a flag up for somebody if you want to, and not fear of persecution. So, yeah, that's awesome, buddy. I know, I remember you were trying to keep it on the low, but once I saw it on the news, I was like, oh, hell, he won't mind if we bring it up today.
Yeah.
No, man.
We do live in the greatest country in the world, and it has been a little kooky, but if you don't believe that, then get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
It's simple as that.
Yeah, go where you think's great.
Take your ass somewhere else if you don't want to be here.
Right.
It's fine.
That's right.
No doubt. Well, hey, I know you got to get out of here, and I got two little quick things I want to do with you. We do one thing that's the number one song this week in country music on the day you were born. You said you were born 93, and I don't know what it is with you young stars these days. I couldn't find Lainey Wilson's birthday on the internet either, but she's a lady, and I wasn't going to ask her, but I'm going to ask you, what's your day of birthday so I can look up what your number one song was?
Dillon,
November 8th, 1993.
November 8th. 93. Let's see. All right, I'll tell you what ours were while I'm generating this. Justin is an 84 model. He was born 3/30/84, and his song was Alabama's "Roll On 18-Wheeler."
Oh man, that's such a good song.
That's a good one, right? And I was born 9/11/79. I was born on Bear Bryant's birthday. One of y'all's Kentucky coaches there for a while till he got on home. And it's funny because Justin's number one song was a group from Alabama named Alabama, and my number one song was a guy from. We split him. He was born in Mississippi, grew up in Arkansas. It was Conway Twitty's song, I May Never Get to Heaven, was the number one song the day I was born. And last week we had Jameson Rogers on, and his might have been the biggest one of anybody so far was Fishing in the Dark by the Dirt Band. And I was like,
wow.
that's a pretty big song. And then we had our buddy Kevin Nagandi from ESPN on a while back, and his was Freddie Fender's "Till the Last Teardrop Falls," and that's a strong
good one
too. Oh wow, we got this is a cool song. A lot to talk about on it. It's a duet, two females.
Okay.
He's a November 8th, 93 model. And I told him what our songs were. His is
it's a duet. Reba and Linda Davis.
Yep, that's it.
Oh, really?
That's two in a row I've guessed.
Yep. Does he love you? That's it.
Like awesome. He loves me, like he loves me.
What a great
does
tune.
he think of
awesome.
you?
And that's
when he holds me, and does he whisper? That's two in a row I've guessed, JR.
I know. I was just telling him about Dirt Band last week, and Justin has guessed the last two in a row. And I know you didn't cheat because we didn't know his birthday till now.
I'm on fire, man.
You are. Hey, and it's funny how that is. That's another legacy type thing, talking about going down the heritage thing. Linda Davis being the mother of Hillary from Lady A. And then, that was the day you were born. I mean, how about all that? That's pretty neat.
Kind of full circle.
Really
and Jon Michael was touring with Reba at that time.
Really? Wow. Yeah, this would have been 93. He'd have been on fire.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Small world. How about that? He probably gave.
It really is. That's Nashville for you.
That's right. He probably gave his little nephew Dillon a shout out on that tour along the way. Right after they had sang that song.
It could have been.
So that's Dillon's song this week. That's what the number one song in the country music world was the day he was born. I got one more thing before I get you out of here. Is we do a thing on here, the Mount Rushmore country music, and we've determined that there is no definitive Mount Rushmore of 4 or 5 people because that's just too many legends that's too many to put on one rock. So it's an individual Mount Rushmore. If Dillon Carmichael had to come up with his own Mount Rushmore, what 4 would he
And
pick?
he keeps saying 4 or 5. It's 4.
I know. We always have to throw in a 5 because it's so hard. It's too difficult.
I can do 4. Let's do 4. Well, I have to say Hank Jr. is on there. And I don't think I can say Hank Jr. is on there without saying Hank Sr. is also on there, right?
You are correct.
Kind of where I'm at. Yeah.
I think the third one's Hank the third, and the fourth one is Hank the fourth. No,
yeah, right. It's Hillary.
I thought you were serious about Hank 3. I'm going, okay, all right.
Well,
depends on what kind of party we do it,
yeah. So Hank Sr., Hank Jr.
We're going up or down, yeah.
Right.
And then I'm gonna say Ronnie Van Zant. I know it's not country, but I still think it is.
Wow, there you go.
Hell yeah, it would be today. If Skinner came out today, they'd be playing on country radio
for sure.
Yep.
So I'm gonna say Ronnie Van Zant. And then probably
Your grandmother?
this fourth one stuff.
Your grandmother?
My grandma. The fourth one. That's a tough one. Gosh, I'm trying to think of that fourth one. So we got Hank Sr., Hank Jr., Ronnie Van Zant.
Hey, while you're thinking of that, I feel like I have to throw this at you. So I've been trying to get my guitar player, who's also from Kentucky, my band leader.
Right, yeah.
Raj. You may have met him. But I've been trying to get him to get a Ronnie Van Zant hat with the snakeskin band forever. I think you should bring that back.
All right.
Because you're a Ronnie Van Zant fan. It's a cool hat. It's like a miniature Eddie hat with a snakeskin band on it.
Yeah, well, I'm very familiar with the hat. Yeah. I don't know if
you need to bring that back.
All right. Well, I may do it.
At least at the
I
end
might
of
have
the
to get
show.
a little bit bigger. I have to get a little bit bigger size than Ronnie, probably.
You may be, yeah.
But yeah, I might do that. I might do that. And the fourth one, by the way, Charlie Daniels.
There we go.
It's a lot of Southern rock, man. I love Southern rock. I can't get away from it. I mean, those are my heroes. Actually, I've got one interesting thing I'm going to show you real quick. Give me 2 seconds.
I have to bring Dillon back when we do the next time we do a Southern rock episode. Get a young guy's perspective on Southern rock. Well, that would be cool if he brought the hat back.
All right. So what I have here, I did a tour with Skinnerd. I'm going to let that, you might have to edit that seed out. It makes kind of a weird noise. So I got to do 5 shows with Skinnerd, and right around that time, I had a guy reach out to me. He's like, hey, man, if you're really a Skinnerd fan, he's like, I love that your first record has some Southern rock in it and that you're kind of letting that live. He said, I'm going to send you something. So he sent me, and whether this is a good thing or not, a piece of metal from the plane.
Oh, wow.
And a piece of carpet from the plane.
Wow.
Now, he was on, and otherwise I'd just be like, this dude's BSing me. He didn't charge me any money, but he was on the Skinnerd documentary, so he owns the property that plane crashed on. And when he first bought it, he went through and excavated that area up. And he's sent pieces off to museums and everything else. He was on the documentary talking about it. This dude's legit. This is a piece of the carpet and a piece of metal from the plane.
Wow.
100%. Now I don't have like a certificate.
Yeah, I know the guy you're talking about, and I have a friend, Cody Oxley in Texas, who has been there and talked with that guy that owns it. It's definitely legit. That dude's legit.
Yeah. And then I almost took it and showed Gary Rosington, but then I was like, nah.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I mean, it's cool, but also it's kind of weird juju at the same time.
Yeah.
But
I get it. I get it. See, we talked to Travis Tritt recently on this podcast, and
love it.
excuse me, I said Charlie Daniels, in my opinion, because I'm a huge Southern rock guy as well. I've always said our music is a cross between Southern rock and traditional country music.
For
and
sure.
To me, nobody will ever convince me that Leonard Skinnerd is not the greatest band of all time. They just are. I'm sorry.
Amen, brother.
They are.
I agree.
In my opinion. JR
totally
disagrees. But
They're up there. They're up there.
But Charlie Daniels was the first guy, in my opinion, and we got to know him really well. And I don't know if you did or not, but everything you saw him on TV, on stage, he was all of that and more.
Yeah.
I mean, he became kind of a second grandfather to me, but
wow.
he incredible human being. But and you should definitely read his book if you haven't. Never Look at the Empty Seats.
Okay, I'll do it.
And he has it on audiobook, and it's him reading it, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
And there are some great lessons.
You will love it.
As the leader of an organization and an artist, you gotta listen to that book or read it. It's just incredible.
I'll get on it. I didn't realize that book existed, but now that I do, I'm definitely going to read it.
Yeah, you got to check that out.
Yeah, and the audio book's him in his voice reading his life story, basically.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's just a cherry on top.
Yep.
Yeah, you would love it, man. So he was the first guy, in my opinion, who did a mashup of country and southern rock ever, and did it right.
Right.
Did it successfully. And then Hank Jr., obviously.
Right.
Travis Tritt, to me, was the next guy who did that. And then Montgomery Gentry. And then after that, I don't know that anybody's done it. We've tried. I don't know that we've done it right, but there hasn't been a lot of people try to do that. And if they have, there haven't been a lot of people who have done it
successfully.
Yeah, successfully.
On a national level, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, it's always so much about timing, I feel like. I mean, even back then it was about timing. I mean, you had like the folky kind of the I'm talking about Skinner, by the way, but the folky the Bob Dylans and the Beatles and stuff like that going on, but nobody did what they did at that time, and it was not immediately the popular thing to do. It took a minute of them doing it for people to catch on and be like, wow, this is awesome. But yeah, it's I think it's all about timing. There will be a time again where there's a place for that, and I can't wait for it to happen.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, man, and that was my very first tour as well, was Skinnerd. It was Skinnerd and Hank Jr., the Rowdy Friends tour.
Yep,
in 07.
Okay.
And I was 23, 4 at the time. I didn't even have a single out, so I don't have a clue how we got that spot. But that's the first tour I ever did.
Y'all were cheap.
Hank Jr., Leonard Skinner.
Yeah,
and they just put
awesome,
me out there
though.
for like 30, 40 dates, and we're playing 30 minutes. Ain't nobody got a clue who we are. Don't give a rip who we are.
Yeah.
But man, it was so cool. And Billy Powell was still alive at that time, playing piano.
Yeah.
Ian, the bass player, was still alive at the time. He died of cancer after. Obviously, Gary was there.
Yep.
I mean, it was super cool. And Johnny was, Johnny's not Ronnie, obviously, but Johnny couldn't have been kinder and really, really neat experience for sure.
I mean, I don't know that there's anyone on the earth more fitting to try and fill those shoes than Johnny, but they're still, even then, it's like, man.
Well, Ronnie was Skinnerd.
Yeah.
I mean, he was.
Everybody in the band would have told you that too, from what I've heard and what I've researched. But yeah, he was the leader. And it always makes me want to be a better leader as well. Going, like, what can I do to be a better front man for my band?
Well, get that hat with the snakeskin.
That's it. That's
hat band, and take your shoes off. Because that's what he did.
And push your guitar players down Rolling Stones' tongue when they tell you not to. Just do it any damn way.
Exactly.
And whip the Rolling Stones' ass when you open.
Yeah, exactly. While you're at it.
That's right.
Oh man,
that's good
he
stuff.
Told his producer when they were doing Simple Man, his producer said, "Man, Ronnie, dude, this song's just so boring. Y'all are a Southern rock band. Everybody loves you because your tempo and your blues and your rock, man. Like, what is this Simple Man song?" And he's like, "Come here, I want to talk to you." Ronnie told his producer, "Man, come here, I want to talk to you." They walked outside, and he grabbed his producer by the shirt, walked over to his car, opened the door, threw his producer down in the car. He locked the door, said, "I'll come back and get you when we're done recording this song," and goes, bam, and slams the door on him.
I never heard that story. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, he knew what he wanted. It worked out pretty good. Pretty big old song.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we could go down the Skinner hole for all day long, but
we'll have to get you back on, and we'll go down the Skinner hole.
Yeah, we'll do it next time we do a Southern rock episode. We'll have to get you on.
There you go.
Get your angle on that for sure.
Yeah, but Dillon, seriously, man, I said it when we first came on. I'm a huge fan, and again, thank you so much for coming on here. Appreciate it. I know you got 100 different things you could be doing. Planning a wedding being one of them.
Getting ready to get busy on an album release week.
No kidding.
Yeah, you got an album coming out tomorrow. Everybody go check that out tomorrow. Download it, stream it, etc. But want to thank you so much for spending some time with us, brother, and nothing but continued success, and hopefully we'll get to go do some shows together here real soon.
I'd love it. Well, I appreciate y'all for having me. It's been I'm a fan as well of both of y'all, and anytime y'all need anything, feel free to reach out.
Will do, brother. Thank you. Everybody go download, preload tonight, Hot Beer. That way tomorrow morning when you get up, it'll be on your phone or wherever you listen to your music. That's Dillon Carmichael. Go to DillonCarmichael.com. Thank you for your time, brother. We appreciate you, and we'll see you down at Old Dusty Country Music Road here real soon.
You boys stay out of trouble.
All right, brother. You too.
All you perverts are going to love sawing logs, I'm telling you.
All right, buddy.
Y'all take it easy. Bye-bye.
All right, brother.
All right,
Bye-bye.
buddy.
How about that? What a nice guy.
Yeah, great guy. Great to catch up with Dillon, man.
Very knowledgeable.
I said it a couple times. He's so talented. I mean, great singer. And I was kind of curious, like, about the Eddie Jon Michael thing because, I mean, he sounds a lot like Eddie.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, that could be viewed as a negative at times.
Yeah, well, you know,
so I was interested in that answer when he mentioned that it was only a positive.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I remember, not in the country music world, but I remember I watched a documentary one time. I think it was called Hot Rod. It's about this guy who basically was this phenomenal singer. I think he's from England. He comes over. Going to be a big star because he's already big there. He gets here. Rod Stewart came out the year before, and he looked and sounded just like Rod Stewart in a good way because he sounded great and he had a good look. But he was so close to Rod Stewart that no one would sign him. Well, he ends up being a Rod Stewart impersonator down in Miami or something, made plenty of money, was very successful as an impersonator for, years and years and years, like high-end private parties, all that fun stuff. But basically was just as good, but just came a couple months later, and Rod had his first big hit, and they were like, he looked just like him. The blonde hair, the face, looked really, really close and sounded just like him. So yeah, it could be at some point you could see where some of that would be. But I guess Dillon being a little younger and a new take on it and all that stuff. And hey, it's already been tested. It worked. Eddie sold a bunch of records. So it's kind of like that familiarity thing when you always think that song kind of sounds like something else. Well, it's a little bit of something that maybe before that reminds you of it, but that's the familiarity thing. So, I think he's got big stuff in store for him, and seems to be well put together. For a young guy, seems to be pretty media savvy, chopping it up. Seems comfortable behind the mic and doing these kind of stuff already, which is cool. Because I know me at 25, I definitely you're pretty good at all this. I'm sure you caught on real quick, but me as a 25-year-old, I've been a babbling idiot on any of this stuff, but he was definitely not. So I want to thank him again for coming and spending a little time with us here today on the Justin Moore podcast.
That was fun.
Yeah, I've got a few things I wanted to run by Just, but nothing major. If you had anything you want to hit on while I pull up a couple of This Week in Country Music stuff.
No, not really, man. Just want to say thank you again to all the people who watch and listen to this podcast. The response to this, I kind of think, has been somewhat overwhelming to JR and I. I just said it to Dillon as we came on. This was just kind of a thought bubble for us, and we thought, maybe people like it, maybe they won't. I don't know. We'll see. And the fact that we've had the guests that we've had and the response from you guys and gals out there that we've had, it's kind of been amazing, really, to see. So we certainly appreciate that. And again, I know we annoy you guys by saying it, but the likes and the subscriptions and the comments and all that stuff, it certainly helps us. So please, as much as you can do those things, please do them. But outside of that, man, not a whole lot. I do have tomorrow. I'll be doing a Bobcat, who's one of our great sponsors. I'll be doing a Bobcat photo shoot from my house tomorrow, and so we'll have some really neat stuff to share with you guys moving forward with Bobcat.
Yeah, thanks to Bobcat and all our sponsors, man. It's been great having all those guys and gals and organizations backing us, and look forward to long run with all of them. We're talking about that stuff coming up soon. I want to run down a couple of show show dates we have coming up. We've got this month here, May 29th. We've got Colorado Springs. I'm going to be playing at the soccer stadium there. So anybody wants to come see us play a show up in the mountains, come to Colorado Springs on the 29th of this month. The week following that, on the 4th of June, we'll be in Evansville, Indiana. The following night, June 5th, we will be in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So that's a few upcoming dates we got. Y'all go to justinmooremusic.com and get all the info to all that stuff. Had a couple quick shout-outs I want to do here. One was a guy I talked with this morning, actually, on my jrthehandler.com little chat board there, which another thing, I do have a new merch page up on the jrthehandler.com with some new designs and some new sizes and colors and all that stuff. So y'all please do me a favor and check that out. But he sends in here, he's getting married, wants us to come to the wedding, but it's obviously, it's a date. We've got a show in August 14th would have been my granddaddy's birthday in Katy, Texas. I want to give him a shout out here. Michael Quevedo, he even says in here, my last name is hard to pronounce, so I'm going to give it a shot. Michael Quevedo, and her name is Ashley Rodriguez. I want to say congrats to them for getting engaged, and hope y'all have a good wedding here in August. I'll give y'all a shout out on that. I want to say shout out to my buddy Hal Bruni, the old Gypsy High Roller for down in Morgan City, Louisiana, for sending me some swag. Love the new shirt, brother. Got the stickers you sent me. Got the Memorial Wayne Mills Band sticker you sent me too. I appreciate that. And even got the old school High Roller sticker that I remember from when I first started in the business. Hal Bruni, one of my oldest musical friends. He's like the Travis Tritt of South Louisiana. That joker can sing anything. Anyway, shout out to him for that. A few things here on This Week in Country Music, not too many. Want to throw these out real quick. In 1965, Johnny Cash was arrested and held overnight at the city jail in Starkville, Mississippi. The event inspired Cash to write the song Starkville City Jail. So I bet he's not a Bulldog fan either after spending the night in the clink over there. In 1969, one of your fellow Arkansans was on the number one on the Billboard Country Album charts with his record Galveston. Mr. Glenn Campbell had this week in 1969. And this week in 1979, we lost a legend. Mr. Lester Flatts passed away May 11th, actually, of 1979. So I want to give a shout out to all those things that happened this week in country music. That's about all. Oh, one thing I had earlier, y'all had mentioned something. I thought I'd do this as my fun fact of the week. Y'all mentioned Keith Stegall earlier, which I remember, Keith, that's who you first started writing for when you moved to town. And Keith being a phenomenal songwriter in his own right all for years and years. Fun fact on a song that most people didn't know who wrote or who originally did it. There's a song called Hurricane. Last couple years, everybody sang it. I think it's a Band of Heathens song. That song was actually originally recorded by Levon Helm, the drummer from Arkansas of the band, on an album called Southern Sun, and that song was written by Keith Stegall. So the big song, Down on the Pontchartrain, Underneath the Louisiana Moon, that song, that's originally written by Keith Stegall on a Levon Helm album from 1972, and then Band of Heathens does it in the mid-2000s or teens and big hit again. So anyway, just had that little fun fact of the week there. That's who wrote that song and originally recorded that Hurricane song.
Keith's written some great songs. Dallas packed her suitcase, drove off in a brand new car. I bought her.
I can remember
that
going.
I hate everything.
Oh yeah,
he wrote that one. That's just two of just a number.
That's somebody
we need to get Keith on.
Well, and AJ. He's got a new single coming out. I don't know if it's an album or a single. Something coming out soon.
We also need to get Eddie Montgomery on.
Hey,
we've talked about, but especially now that we've had Dillon on. And I was just going to mention when you were talking about merch just a couple of minutes ago. I was drinking out of this cup, and hopefully you guys can see this.
Oh, nice!
It's a Yeti with our Rebel Rooster logo. Y'all let us know. Hashtag Justin Moore Podcast if that's something you guys would like, and we can make some. I don't know. I was just drinking some H2O out of this, and I thought, maybe people would like this. I don't know.
Yeah, and we've got the coffee mugs on there now, which I use regularly. I don't put much coffee in it. It's more I use my coffee in this thing, but I do me a little sipping whiskey in this one from time to time. And you've got the NFTs out on your site now too. The non-fitted T-shirts out too is the new deal we've got on your site. So everybody go to justinmooremusic.com and check out the merch page for all that stuff. And remember to download Justin's new album. Go rate, like, click, subscribe, all that fun stuff to the podcast, wherever you listen to it or watch it. And, man, I've had a good time chit-chatting today, Just. I hear it raining outside now. I'm sure I've got a million things I need to try to get done before this storm sets in. But
yeah, we had 100% chance of rain like all day, and it hadn't rained yet. It looks like it's about to dump.
Yeah.
And we got a doubleheader tonight, so I'm kind of hopeful that it does, so we get a night off.
Yeah.
But so far, it's dry here, so we'll see what transpires. But like JR said, enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys did as well. Dillon Carmichael, go check out his EP / album online. Hot Beer comes out tomorrow. A lot of fun talking to him. Hopefully you guys enjoyed hearing from him as well. Eddie and Jon Michael's nephew, but super talented guy in his own right, and about to make his own waves in Music City and beyond. And hopefully, again, you guys had a good time as we did, and will join us next week. And I'll tease you with this, JR. I'm working on a guest surprise for you.
Oh, I love it. I was just thinking we don't have anybody lined up for next week. I don't know if we need to.
I'm working on one. I just got asked to do a show by another artist that she does, and so I said, hey, I'll do this if she does our podcast. So
awesome.
We'll see if it works out.
Okay.
But you would love it if it comes to fruition.
I'm already excited. So yeah, and I'm going to get a stack of Q&A together. So everybody remember to use the hashtag Justin Moore Podcast whenever you interact on social media or on the websites or any of that fun stuff, so I can find these questions, comments, suggestions, anything you want to put up there. But I'm compiling a new list. I've got a nice stack going already, but I want to get some more to it. And we're going to do, maybe not next week because Justin's got us a guest lined up, but in the next few weeks, we're going to do another big Q&A rap session to get some of those answered and back to you. But as always, thank y'all for tuning in. Remember to use the hashtag Justin Moore Podcast. Like, click, rate, subscribe, hit the notification button anywhere you watch or listen to this podcast. And we'll see you guys back here next week. Same bat time, same bat place, podcast world, here on the Justin Moore Podcast. God bless America.
See you.
For any of you first-time listeners out there, at the end of each of our episodes, I like to do a little reading out of a book I've had that I've got a lot of use out of over the years. The book is by Mr. Charlie Daniels, and the book is called Let's All Make the Day Count, The Everyday Wisdom of Charlie Daniels.
Number 65, Facing Worry. Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to your life? Luke 12:25. It seems worry is covered in Velcro. Anytime you let it touch you, it wants to stick to you and go along with you wherever you go and take center stage in your thoughts. Worry is also possessive, insistent, and never happy until it has your full attention to the exclusion of everything else you need to be thinking about. There was a period of my life when it seemed I was dogged by worry every waking hour. It tried to control every decision I made, every action I took, as well as my relationships and my demeanor. Worry has to be faced down and relevant. For the charlatan, it is. Oftentimes, the overwhelming what-ifs we worry about will never even happen. Furthermore, you have to separate the things you can control from the things you can't control. Act on the first and ignore the later. Alcoholics Anonymous has a prayer that I felt applies not only to alcoholics, but to everybody. Lord, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Do the things you can do and leave the things you can't do to God. Let's all make the day count.